Welcome to Stepfamily Saturday Series with your Stepfamily Guides. We're here to lead you through the everyday challenges of your stepfamily journey. I'm Adrienne, and with me today are fellow Stepfamily Guides, Amelia and Amy. How are we today?
Good.
Great. How are you?
Doing good. Excited to talk about today's topic, the ours baby born into a stepfamily. So let's dive in. Let's start with some of the challenges. What are some of the challenges that come with having an ours baby?
So speaking from personal experience, the one thing before our son was even born, one of the challenges was the worry that I had for my husband and the guilt that he might carry having a child that lived with us 100% of the time, but then having a child that went back and forth, and how he might cope with that. And then also how his daughter might feel about that, having a child that she knew was always here. So that was one of the things. And then another challenge, of course, is the balancing act of ensuring that the ours baby is still able to live their full life while the other child is coming and going, but not having the stepchild kind of miss out on the big events that happen here as well. So it's all just a juggling act.
Yeah, I know some of the other considerations are, do you tell the ex or the exes? And if so, when and how and who tells them? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, personally, I think that it's never the job of the child to have these conversations, because these are big adult conversations that in these types of situations involve big feelings. Whether the ex is happy about, their breakup with your now partner or not, there was still a time that they were a couple, and there's still history there. So being mindful of that, and that it could be a struggle for that person. So from a personal perspective and a coaching perspective, I advise clients, to not leave it up to the child to have this conversation with that parent. It's the job of your partner to have that. Do I think that the step parent, the pregnant person, needs to be involved? Not really.
Yeah, it sounds like that. It sounds like that creates an interesting dynamic between when do you tell the kids, in the step family, when do you tell the exes? Because there's a timing issue there so that you don't put that burden on the children. Do you tell them together? What is,
Again, for us personally, we, made it special to tell the girls with the plan that when my stepdaughter went back after that particular visit, that would be when her mother was told about it, because we never wanted my stepdaughter to keep a secret either. No matter if it's a good secret or not, we never wanted her to feel like she couldn't talk about anything that's going on in this house. So the timing for that was when we were ready to tell our girls. My husband, told his ex, and I think that that's, again, just ensuring that kids aren't being made to keep secrets, because I don't think that's ever good.
No, it's not a fair position.
No.
Yeah. Amy, what are your thoughts on some of these? I know that with your clients, you talk about some of these topics as well.
We do. I want to step into talking about what the kids' perspective is and how they feel about this too, because there may be, positive, negative feelings between the parents. As adults, they have to figure that all out. But the kids we've dealt with sometimes within, the families I coach, that the kids feel displaced. And, that was an interesting thing because, when you blend two groups of kids, the one family I'm thinking of, there was 3 of them. So it was the oldest, middle, and youngest. When they blended the other kids in, the oldest was no longer the oldest. The youngest was no longer the baby of the family. So everybody got displaced and nobody was happy. And then they added an ours, which threw everybody into another tizzy, because now the new baby of the family has been replaced with a baby of the family. So there was a lot of jostling of, they talk about birth position and all of that. And some people say it's, it's nonsense. Other people are like, oh yeah, it's a thing. I happen to think it's a thing. Our firstborns are, like to be leaders. The babies take that position, strongly too. So I think that placement of, who now belongs where with that baby being added. And the other part too is, if you've got kids coming and going and coming and going, those kids might sometimes, if there's an ours kid too, the coming and going kids may feel like, visitors or guests in the house, because if you think about it, there's life is going on in your house, whether that kid's here or not, life is going on. And then the kid comes in and they feel like they've missed some things. There may be some jokes, that are going on that they're like, what are you all talking about? Or references to something that we did. Well, that kid wasn't a part of that. So having that ours kid there all the time, and then these others part-time, there's things that are going to be missed. As Amelia said, you can't stop life. No matter who's going where, you can't stop living, but there's not that shared experiences that bond them all the time. And that can be a bit of a hiccup in families.
Yeah, and when you were talking about birth order, and it gets a little complicated because if you have kids going between homes, their birth order might change. So it doesn't just change when you become a step family. At one home, they might be the oldest. At the other home, they might be the second or third youngest. And so then they're not just transitioning homes and rules and boundaries and values and parenting styles, they're transitioning their place among their siblings. So there's just so many dynamics. It's really fascinating, really fascinating. You talked about balancing. I'm curious, either what you do personally or what you've recommended for clients that you coach is how do you handle things like schedules and chores and discipline and the family activities so that there is some sort of balance between when the whole family is together versus when maybe just the ours child is home and the stepkids are with their other parents? What does that look like? What do you recommend to clients?
Yeah, so personally and with people I coach, the same conversations. So, one of the struggles is, I don't want my ours baby to just be living life on a pause button all the time. Like, oh, this child went back to their other house, so now we all just have to pause and wait. Because that's not fair for that child. And again, just like a stepchild didn't ask for their family to be divorced, an ours baby didn't ask to have to live on pause all the time. So for us, what we've done is we've created this kind of chart of what are the big ticket ideas and fun activities that we can do together, and what are things that we can do anytime. So whether my stepdaughter is with us or not, we can do those and no one's going to feel guilty or no one's going to be upset. So that looks different for each family, because obviously finances are different with each family and schedules are different with each family. So that's, what's the word I'm looking for? A family to family kind of, it changes. As for chores and things, I'm going to be totally honest with you. We don't have set chores in our house. I have a few expectations of my kids, my daughter and our son. Now, my stepdaughter, she just I'm lucky in the fact that she kind of just goes with the flow. She knows her expectations. So we don't have actual chores, but I say that's not off limits. I think that if you are a family that wants to have, the chore chart or assigned things to be doing, sitting down and having that family meeting about what's expected of you when you're here. I think that giving chores isn't necessarily a punishment. It's teaching children, values and things like that. So yeah, again, communication is a big one.
Yeah, a lot of proactive communication, a lot of family discussions and talking these things through and seeing, letting the kids have some input so that you can see how they really do feel and what they feel is balanced and fair, what works best for them, I think is really important as well. I think that giving kids a voice is really important, especially in these conversations where they're so affected by the decisions made and the outcomes.
Yeah, and I know even when my stepdaughter was younger, and even now, my husband likes to make time just for his daughter, so that she's still getting that time just with him, because the other kids get it as well, right? When she's here, obviously it's a little bit more difficult. So they like to have a few hours each week where they can do something. And I think that's important to maintain that too. And so that she knows that she's still important, even though there's another little person, now involved, that she's still important.
Yeah, that's great. Amy, were you going to add something?
Bouncing off of the chores thing, and then I have a question I want to pop into. So bouncing off the chores idea, now I always recommend that stepkids do have chores when they're at the house because it makes them feel a part of the family unit and not a guest. So, if there's a basket full of towels that need folded, there's no reason why you can't fold them. So I always recommend the kids, and this is for nuclear families too, kids should have chores because it teaches, not only does it teach them life skills they're going to need when they're out of the house, but it also teaches them I'm a functional part of this family, and my contributions keep our family going in the right direction. So, our part-time kiddos that come in and out, they need to feel a part of the family. And part of that is, here's the broom, start sweeping, so it's not all just the fun stuff. I want to pose the question though, because I was thinking about as Amelia was talking. So when you have, let's say, birthday parties of the stepkids that are at their birth parents' home, and you have an ours baby, does the ours baby, when you go to that birthday party, does the ours baby is expected to go there too, or is there a separation, or how do you guys manage that within your own homes?
For us, we don't do mutual parties anymore. We used to, when my stepdaughter was a lot younger. I guess before my son was born, she would go to the birthday parties at my husband's ex's. Sometimes we would attend, sometimes not. That's not been a thing with us since my son's been born. So yeah, and again, I think it depends on the dynamic with the ex and how that relationship works. And I think if you can, that's awesome. And I think if you can't, that's okay too. You have to do what's best for your situation.
And that's really what I recommend to clients too, is I say it really comes down to your dynamics and how everybody feels. If everybody's getting along great and you guys can all be in the same room without it being awkward or tense, then I say and you guys can do things joint, have it joint, but joint means everybody on both sides of the family, whether they're a stepchild, a nuclear child, a ours child, it doesn't matter. It should be, if the family's invited, anybody in that family is a part of it. It doesn't become an exclusionary thing. The minute it becomes exclusionary, then there's something else going on in those dynamics that you probably shouldn't be considering having a joint event, whether it's a birthday party or any other type of celebration. So, yeah. Any other questions or thoughts on this topic?
I thought I had something to add and now I've forgotten.
Well, there will be more Stepfamily Saturdays, of course. So when you think of it, we can add it in, or follow us on Instagram and see posts there. So when Amelia thinks of her thought, we'll turn it into a post.
We will.
So I will leave us with this one final thought that I truly believe, and I share with my clients, that love is a multiplication problem, not a division one. So I think if we approach everything in step family life from a positive viewpoint of this is about having more love and more support and more people to be a part of your life, then we cut out some of the problems before they even begin. So thank you for joining us today. We hope that you've enjoyed this conversation and found some benefit in it. And we hope that you'll be back every Saturday for more fun topics on step family life. If you have questions you'd like to hear answered, please reach out to us. You can email us, you can reach us on our website, or DM us on Instagram. Have a beautiful day.